Welcome to the Barkada Podcast. We're here with Mike Malone. It's April 5th, 2022. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Where do we begin? I'm trying to think about the time when we, first met and everything.
I do remember that.
Do you? Okay. You have most people have a better memory than I do, so I'm glad that you can recall this.
Well, I was in college when we first met, but I mean, I obviously grew up coming here to Manila when it was Water City Grill.
Yeah.
And then at some point when I went to college, it closed, and I remember it became like an Irish.
Yeah, it was Murray's Irish Pub for I think a couple years before we took over.
And I never came there. But then I remember you took over, and it was just the Algoma Club for a long time.
Yeah.
And you gave me a place to play one time when I came back, maybe for Thanksgiving or Christmas.
That's right. Like, did you shoot me an email or call me or something? Or?
Yeah. Probably an email or something. But I just remember you were really receptive and open to it. And I think I played with Kurt Scheip, who I was in college with, and a bunch of other people of my generation, who were studying music in college or pursuing that. So it was a nice place for us all to come together and play and make a little money. And, family, friends could come out.
Yeah, for sure, because you guys were out in Eau Claire, right?
Eau Claire, yep.
Yeah. What's the mascot there again? It's
the Blue Golds.
Blue Golds.
But blue is only BLU.
Oh.
There's no E. It's like some people think it's an anagram for Bulldogs.
Okay.
That's what I've heard, is that they were going to be the Bulldogs, but too many schools were the Bulldogs, so they rearranged it around.
Okay.
I always thought it was cool because what is a blue gold? We didn't have a mascot. It was just the colors were blue and gold.
Okay.
And then sometime in my senior year, right when I was leaving, they had a mascot contest, and it's some dumb bird. Yeah, really rebranded.
Nice, man. So, born and raised Oshkosh?
No, but I would say I consider it kind of my home.
Oh, where were you born then?
I was born in a town called Yorba Linda, California, which is in Orange County.
Really?
LA area.
I didn't. Okay.
Yeah, and I lived there till I was 6, so really it didn't have a huge influence on me other than, the few things I remember going to Disneyland every weekend or Mighty Ducks or something.
Yeah.
And then my dad moved to Atlanta.
Okay.
Or my whole family did. Mm-hmm. And I lived there from when I was about 6 to 12.
Oh.
So I have a lot of memory of living there, and that probably was, a huge influence on my upbringing in the South. And then he worked for Yamaha at the time.
Okay.
But the boat motors.
Boat motors, okay.
Not
I was going to ask.
drums.
Yamaha.
That would have been sweet. And then he moved over to Mercury, and so we ended up coming up here.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that about your path and journey.
Yeah. I have it seems like a very 6-year routine.
Sure.
Because I think I was in Oshkosh for 6 years or so before I graduated high school and moved to Eau Claire, and then I was there for about 5 years, but I've kind of had this routine of kind of relocating.
So where are you at now for being back in Oshkosh?
Longer?
Okay.
Closer to 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. It's been 10 years already?
Close. Yeah, I think I came back, maybe it was 2013 or 2014.
Okay.
I had to go back and finish school in Eau Claire after I left for a minute.
Right on.
So kind of a gray area there.
Yeah. So how was that experience, if you can kind of remember, kind of hopping around, especially, like you said, not really necessarily when you were 6, but kind of going into your high school years and stuff.
Yeah, I can really remember a major shift being from the South to being in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. So I remember in Georgia, if it would snow at all, school was canceled. It was like the end of the world, just flurries.
Yeah.
Or honestly, I remember they canceled school because it was too cold one day because it was below freezing. But people don't really own winter jackets.
Yeah, that's not
and the layers.
Not the normal, right?
Yeah, so they didn't want kids standing out by the bus stop. So they canceled school. And then I remember when I came up here, I know my parents wanted to move us up before the school year ended, so we'd have a chance to meet some kids and make some friends before the summer started.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it was around spring break or something, which means, there's still a blizzard on the way. Mm-hmm. But there was, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 inches of snow at one point, and I was, you're going to send us to school? We have to go outside for recess? This is insane. So that was much different. And then the other thing that was really different was just people, manners and such. In the South, that's a big deal. And I remember in middle school, there was a teacher, everyone had to shake his hand when they walked into the classroom.
Oh, okay.
It's just normal public school, too. It wasn't like a special school or anything. And I remember I got in trouble. I think like the principal called my mom after we moved up here because they thought I was mocking a teacher because I kept saying, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, and being like over. But that was just
up here?
Oh. And I think they thought I was like messing with them or something.
Oh, sure.
But that's just how you were, supposed to treat teachers.
Yeah. I know we brought this up in one episode before, but, typically, like when you meet like a Filipino that's, from the Philippines, and, when they're interacting with people, like they're very polite, as we'll come to, understand how you made that connection with them.
Yeah.
And they say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, like after, speaking with someone, even if they don't know them, just they want to show that kind of sign of respect.
I'm still like that a little bit. Sometimes I always realize it when I'm going through like a subline or like Chipotle or something where you have a lot of stations where you're...
Sure, yeah.
I always say please and thank you after every ingredient.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think, like, wow, onions, please, yes. Salsa, please. Yes. Please, yeah, thank you, please.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't think there's any problem with that, but...
No, I think being polite to others, and especially... people in the service industry, just to name, one area. I remember around New Year's, I was getting a cake for Evelyn's birthday at a festival down in Fond du Lac. We were just celebrating at Patty's sister's place in Eden, if you guys need to know the details. But, went to festival, grabbed the cake, and asked them if they could, write a message on there and everything like that. And another lady from the bakery, politely came up to me and she's like, hey, have you been helped already, sir? And I'm like, oh, yes, I've been helped already, but thank you for asking. And then there was a couple more, interactions and stuff. And she's like, can we clone you? Like, we need more people like you. Like, you're just so polite. And I'm like, and I thought to myself, I'm like, that's just how I am, like.
Yeah. I always try to remind myself to put myself in the other person's shoes. The worst situation is when you're dealing with tech support or, calling a company and you're getting a call center. It's like those people are just working and they deal with, angry customers every time.
Yeah.
So sometimes I have to remind myself more than others. But, yeah, I like putting an emphasis on being polite, and I think you get the most out of people that way.
Yeah. Right on. Okay, so where are we in the story? We're up here now, and you're getting in trouble for being nice to people.
Yeah. One thing that was really good about that is I didn't make a ton of friends, but I had just started playing. I got a drum set for Christmas right before we moved up here. Mm-hmm. And since I didn't make a ton of friends, I think I just kind of, I'm going to practice. And mm-hmm. I had found a really good drum teacher who I considered like a friend, mm-hmm. and looked up to like an idol. And so that was probably a really good chance for me to focus a lot on music.
That was before you took off?
Yeah, I got the drum set right before we moved. And then when we moved up here, I got my first drum teacher.
Were you playing anything else at the time before?
I was playing in band in middle school, but I was playing saxophone.
Another saxophone guy.
Yeah, I had a friend, I think it was like a family friend who played sax, and we went to his house before I got to choose instruments. Mm-hmm. And that made me want to switch, but my mom always wanted me to play drums.
Oh, that's cool.
But I think she wanted to let me decide, which was, really nice.
Yeah.
But I kind of ended up coming back to it anyways.
I would think most parents would be the other way around.
I think so, yeah.
Like, no, I don't want my kid banging on drums all the time. Play something like the saxophone.
Yeah, well, my parents were always awesome about it. They would let me play before school.
Yeah.
So, probably like if I got up and got ready, I could play from like 6 to 6:30 in the basement. And this is like, I didn't have headphones, so I was just blasting a stereo with AC/DC loud enough so that I could hear it while I was wailing away on the drums. And they would let me do that every day. And I'd come home and play. And then I could play till like 9 o'clock. And then they would flash the lights on the stairwell. And that was my cue that I had to stop.
You're like, hey, it's late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curtain call.
Yeah. No, it's easy to lose yourself when you're in it, right?
Yeah, well, and, you know, there wasn't a lot of distractions. You know, it didn't have social media, really. So I can understand. I have a lot of students now, and I can see how they're stretched very thin with a lot of different activities, or it seems like the school workload is way harder than it was when I was a student, and you need to take all these, you know, special classes or volunteer with this program all to get ready for a college application. So I'm really grateful grew up in a time where I could just always take band, didn't have to take a year off so that I could take this special class or whatever. So that was really nice. I guess the only other thing I was working on besides music was my dad always grew up playing hockey.
Okay.
Big hockey player and big hockey fan. So I grew up loving that. And when I lived in Atlanta, I played roller hockey. That was bigger down there.
Ooh, nice.
When I moved up here, I remember he got me ice skates right away. And I would walk to the YMCA on 20th after school with my ice skates and go skate for, you know, an hour.
Awesome.
During open skate every day.
Does Atlanta have a NHL team?
They did. When I was growing up, it was the Atlanta Thrashers.
Did they move somewhere else?
They did. I think that might be the franchise that went back to Winnipeg.
Okay. Let's look that up.
Yeah, there was historically there's a franchise in Winnipeg, the Jets.
Yep, the Jets.
And then I think they moved to Atlanta.
The Atlanta Thrashers were a professional ice hockey team based in Atlanta. Atlanta was granted a franchise in the National Hockey League on June 25th, 1997, and became the league's 20th franchise when it began play in 1999-2000 season. And you are correct. They're just north of us. They just seem to be following you, right?
Yeah.
When you move, they move. But, yeah, they're obviously a little bit further north in Winnipeg. Winnipeg Jets. Shout out to my family out there.
Your family in Winnipeg?
Yeah. Like second cousins or something like that.
I went to Winnipeg a few years ago with this vocal jazz group I play with, and we were there to play with the symphony. So we were there for, 4 or 5 days. And I remember I asked one of the members in the symphony, I was like, is there like I'd love to go to a CFL game. Like, are the Blue Bombers playing at all?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, they play Sunday after our concert.
Okay.
I was like, oh, would anyone want to go? Because I'm just around. And he's like, I play on the drum line for the Blue Bombers, so I actually have extra tickets I can just give you. You just have to find a way there. And so I had these cab passes from the symphony to get around town while I was here, which was really mostly for me to get into town or back to the hotel. But I used it to go all the way out to where the stadium was, which was a pretty big hike. And I went to a game by myself, and I ate poutine.
Nice.
And watched it, yeah. It was a full Canadian experience.
Yeah, I remember when the Packers were supposed to play, they did play a preseason game there.
Yeah, was that Winnipeg too?
It was there, but they weren't, both teams were not happy with, like, the field conditions, and I don't think many starters were playing and stuff, so.
I remember that because that was against the Raiders.
Was it? Okay.
Yep. And the Raiders were on that show Hard Knocks that year, which, like, follows a team through the preseason.
Yeah.
And, like, it's happening in real time. So a week after the events happen, you get to watch the episode. And so when they put that episode together, I remember John Gruden, the coach, was calling Matt LaFleur, like, a wimp or being a baby about not playing his starters and stuff.
You don't want to get your players hurt, but yeah.
And what's weird is they also played that same team during the regular season, which usually a preseason you wouldn't play teams.
You wouldn't see them, yeah.
But since it's in a different conference, I guess the threat of, like, getting you wouldn't play a division rival in preseason. But I guess if it's like a kind of random game that isn't going to happen very often, it's okay.
Now, Winnipeg's a cool little city,
It was really cool. I enjoyed it a lot.
We stopped there on our way. We did a van trip out to Banff, and we stopped by to see some family there, and we just wanted to explore the city a little bit, and we just happened to be there during a time where they had like a unity, like in community type of festival going on. So we could hit up like different places to experience different cultures, and it was so neat, the diversity that they have in that area too.
I did not get to do as much of that.
Yeah.
Mine was the mall was in walking distance
Of the stadium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of our hotel.
Oh, your hotel. Okay.
And then the Symphony Center every day, for a rehearsal or concert or whatever. We stayed at a nice resort, but I wasn't going to pay for any of the extra experiences. And then the CFL game.
Yeah. Nice. So. Very cool.
Yeah.
So when did you, what grade were you when you started school here in Oshkosh then?
End of my 6th grade year, middle school.
Oh, okay. So you were on west side, south side?
West side. Yeah. So I went to Traeger.
Traeger. Okay.
Yep. What's really cool is the band director who was there at the time, Miss Kruge, she's still there.
Oh, nice.
And I have a lot of students who go there who, now work with her. It's always cool. I guess that makes me, it's like, a grand teacher or something.
Yeah.
But, she was really inspiring and motivating. And I remember in 8th grade, she let me switch from saxophone to percussion, which is I think that's the hardest switch to do because, like we were saying, percussion is kind of the slacker instrument, hang in the back of the room. Maybe you're not focused. You have to learn mallets and the battery side of percussion. So usually teachers are very selective about who's allowed to play percussion. And definitely switching from something to percussion would be a no-no. But yeah, she let me switch. And then I remember I worked really hard to learn how to do the mallets and everything. And it paid off because I'm still doing it. So
nice.
I hope her decision was validated.
Did she ever invite you back there to do workshops and stuff with the kids or anything?
Yeah, I've done some stuff. She passes me a lot of students. I've done some clinics and helping out there, especially when I first moved back. I kind of made a point to get to know every band teacher in the area to try and, establish myself as someone they'd recommend for lessons.
Yeah.
Now that I've been here long enough, I think it just kind of word gets around.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to as much. But yeah, I would love to get back anytime and work with those programs. Especially for me, kind of my focus would be on the jazz side, working with jazz bands. Or I can work with a drum line or concert band. But.
So in high school, you did all that stuff, drum line?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to do everything.
You just did everything.
Yeah.
They did
especially in high school.
Yeah.
When you got all those, the pit musical or play drums with the choir or, anything I could do and get involved with, that was what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So that was a good experience then for you to be over at West, right?
Yeah, I was there at a time where it was really transforming into kind of what it is now. My freshman year, we had a band director who had been there, a long tenure of his career, 30 years, and that was his last year before he was retiring.
His name was?
Terry Hathaway.
Okay.
He ran the community band in town for a long time, too.
Yeah, okay.
And he was my neighbor growing up. But I don't think he liked me very much. I was just like a bratty little freshman. I remember I was chewing gum in class one time, and he came up and brought the trash can and made me spit it out in front of everybody to shame me. And I wasn't doing it to be a jerk. I think I just forgot because in high school you could chew gum. In middle school you weren't allowed to do that. And I forgot to spit it out before band or something. But no, he was really great. But then when he left, they hired Tim Dolish is his name. And his mom was the teacher for decades at South Park. So I think he kind of had an in. But it was a big deal when they hired him. He was going to kind of turn the program around and get us a marching band and build the band program up. And he really did quickly. And I was talking to someone about it last week, a student I went to school with there, and kind of how quickly he turned that program into this awesome musical thing. And that was really great for me. The only bad side was I think he was so dedicated and asked so much of people. It was almost run like a military or something. He expected a lot of you. And I was ready for that. But I think for some kids who were just in band to have fun 1 hour a day and not do something else, it might have been too intense. You know?
Yeah.
But it was perfect for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then my junior year, they got someone new to come teach jazz band. So I was already into jazz, but couldn't really find anyone around me who knew jazz or even the little bit about it that I did. So that was really special for me, and he's still there now, Dan Singer. And I don't think they have a jazz band anymore. They do like a summer class, a jazz workshop, but when I was there, it was a class every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So by my senior year, I was in jazz band every day, concert band. I think I had a study hall where I just went down there and got to practice. And then I was in the freshman band as like a section coach or something.
Nice.
So I was there, half of my school day was just in the band room, which was really good because, that's the path I was pursuing.
For sure.
Beyond that. So it was probably really valuable.
Nice. So then the next, I'm skipping ahead, Eau Claire.
Yeah.
What led your, decision to go out to school over there?
Yeah. The band director who came in and kind of turned that program around, he was a percussionist. So that was also a cool moment for me to work, have someone, a resource that really knew all about percussion.
Okay.
A lot of times I think band directors, it's so different than all the other instruments, right?
Sure.
They don't always know how to teach it, or percussion's in the back of the room. It's the last thing to get attention, if at all. So you can just kind of slack around and get away without doing anything. But he didn't let that happen. But he went to Eau Claire. And so he had always pushed it on me. And I remember maybe it was my junior year of high school. My dad was looking up colleges and found they had a jazz festival. And he's like, we should go for the weekend and tour the campus and go to the Jazz Fest and check it out and see if you like it. And once I did that, it was like, I knew I had to be there.
Yeah.
They had this really famous drummer that weekend for the Jazz Festival too, Dave Weckl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I got to meet him, at like an afterglow jam session they had, shake his hand, get an autograph or whatever. And just seeing like, oh my God, they have this guy that's on the cover of drum magazines coming to this school and playing with this is where I have to go.
Yeah.
So then, did the audition, decided to go there. They have a really great jazz program, although it doesn't offer a degree.
Oh.
Which they do by design. A lot of music schools, you could get a jazz-centric music degree.
Okay.
But they wanted everyone to be of a certain caliber with classical music, which, emphasizes a lot of technique and structure and learning history and harmony and theory. And so at the time that could be frustrating because I was really there just to play jazz. But I had to, pursue the classical percussion program too, marimba and timpani and all that sort of thing.
So technically, were you a performance major then?
I started out as an education major, music ed,
Yeah.
because I just thought, if you're not touring the world as a rock star, then you're a band teacher. But then my junior year, I switched to a BA, a music liberal arts degree, which is kind of more open-ended. Like, it doesn't have the same requirements of a performance major.
Okay.
But it has the core of all the music degrees.
Yeah.
But it also requires you to have a minor. So my dad was really dead set that I should pursue a business minor, and specifically marketing. He thought that would be really applicable to what I wanted to do. I think he saw me kind of grow up in this area, have my bands, and book shows at New Moon Cafe or Beckett's or different things, and kind of hanging up flyers around town and kind of running my band like a business. I was, the leader and stuff. So, he kind of pushed me to do the marketing degree. And honestly, I loved that so much that I wish I would have double majored. Or, I could have majored in that and minored in music. I loved it.
Yeah.
Those School of Business classes, they make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
To me, sometimes music can be abstract when you're studying it. It's like, well, someone chose it to do this way, but you don't have to do it that way. Business, there's a lot of different ways to approach that as well.
Yeah.
But it was just, it just made a lot of sense.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I enjoyed studying it. Sometimes it was kind of really contrast the artistic side of music,
Well, it's just a direction of how things have been kind of shifting, like the dynamics between artists and everything and self-promoting, and especially, for working musicians and stuff in the area, local level, like you have to do it,
Yeah, yeah.
And that's one of the things I appreciated about the music program, or the recording technology program, to be more specific, over at the university here, is that we did have to take like those core classes and stuff in business, accounting, marketing, intro to business and all that kind of fun stuff.
I didn't know that.
So, yeah.
I remember when I was finishing up my degree, I was really close with the jazz professor, the head of the jazz department, and the percussion professor, obviously. But I remember telling both of them, I was like, we have to figure out a way for all the music students to go through these marketing programs. And maybe it's not taking all the classes. Maybe it's some sort of seminar. Like, you've got to take this 2-hour workshop about learning how to write your resume,
Yep.
No one taught me that in music school, how to write an email to try and book a gig or how to prepare your resume. I remember in the School of Business, you had to take this, it was like a 3-hour block. You signed up for it. Maybe it was $30 or something, but it was all about learning like proper etiquette for dining in a professional sense,
Sure, yeah.
Or we had to meet with some like guy who does wardrobes at Men's Warehouse, and he kind of walks you through, you unbutton your jacket when you sit down, you put it up, like all the things that I think are a little, fanfare of elegant dining or business formal meetings and stuff. But it was cool.
Yeah.
I appreciated that they wanted to make sure you knew all that stuff before you got in the real world. Sometimes in music, it's just like, let's make you a great musician and then it'll work out.
Yeah.
And back in the day, I think the trajectory of studying music was you do that and then you go do it again in a master's program and then you get a job in a symphony and it all works out. But a lot of those symphonies aren't around today, or a lot of those positions aren't coming open because people are staying in them for 40 years.
Yeah. And, like you said, like the numbers of those like local symphonies even are shrinking. We just had to see. What do we have here in the area? We still have Oshkosh Symphony, right? I mean, they haven't performed in a while, probably since COVID, right?
Yeah, I think the pandemic has been it kind of helped a lot of people who were probably on the fringe of operating.
Yeah.
Make a tough decision to call it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their status is right now. I mean, I hope they're around or they'll come back. I know just growing up in high school, we had a few iterations. The Oshkosh Symphony, then there was like Water City Chamber Orchestra, and it kept changing. And I'm sure there's a lot of political stuff that went into all those groups forming or realigning and stuff like that.
But Fox Valley Symphony has been performing again, I know.
Yep, yeah.
Which is good. Yeah, hopefully someone can step up and we can all find a way to make it, OSO work again.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something I would probably play in, but I appreciate that we have a wide variety of musical ensembles and different things going on in this town. And I feel anytime I talk to a friend who maybe is like, why'd you move back to Oshkosh? And maybe if they come visit or something, they're always surprised about not only the quantity of how much music and arts is happening in the area, but the quality. It's really high caliber.
Yep.
And that was a big thing for me as I decided to come back from Eau Claire. I had kind of stepped away from the university for a bit to take a gig touring with the Glenn Miller Orchestra. And so I would be, kind of moved all my stuff from Eau Claire back to my parents and just left it in their basement. And then, I'd be here on a break or something. And then after that, I did a cruise ship for a while after I finished college. So it's like, again, I didn't really have a home base.
Yeah.
But I would be back in this area, and I was, starting to hang out at the Jazz Orgy or different musical things going on and subbing in when I would be home.
Yeah.
And everything paid better than it did in Eau Claire, which I was surprised. Eau Claire, it's like there's so much arts and community happening, but everyone in that town has a project. Like even, a dentist is also in this band that's killing and awesome, and they'll play for free at this coffee shop.
Yeah.
So it kind of made it hard to make a living in the local community. I think that's changed a bit up there now, but at the time for me, I could play every night of the week, but I wasn't really making much money at all.
Let's go to Glenn Miller Orchestra, man. Like you played with them for how long?
I ended up staying just for a summer. So
Summer?
Yeah, not even a year.
You were part of the group that went to Japan? Or
Almost. No, I got out before.
Okay.
I wish I would have done that. That, from what I hear, is dramatically different than the touring in the States. You're treated like royalty.
Yeah.
You know, and it is like the rock star life.
Yeah.
But when I did it, man, we went through all of the United States and Canada all by bus.
Uh-huh.
And that was a really cool opportunity to see a lot of the country, just different areas. And when you're doing it all by bus, you really get to see it, you know.
For sure.
But that was a really amazing opportunity. I don't know if I was totally ready for how different a style of jazz that was than everything you learn in school or play today. Because most of the jazz people play today is influenced from bebop, which was like the mid-'40s. Got going, and that's how people approach improvising or group playing, even in a big band setting, you know. That's just where people come from. But the Glenn Miller stuff, that was the late 30s. Bebop hadn't really been pioneered yet.
Yeah.
So no one came from that sound of playing. And it was all functional music for people to dance at first. And so it's very rigid, the time and the feel. And I think that's what makes people want to dance, has a real rigid beat. And so that's just so different than playing anything else. Or even if we would play a Glenn Miller song like In the Mood in a college big band or high school big band, you don't play it with that genuine feel of that era because it's really hard to grasp. So that was a huge learning experience for me. But that was probably the best big band I've ever played in. You know, some of the guys who were in that band had been on the road for 25 years.
Yeah.
And they were just going to do it the rest of their life. They were amazing musicians, and we played every day, almost. So by nature, we're just going to sound really tight.
For sure. Yeah, we had them once upstairs at Algoma Club.
I remember it was right after I left.
After you left the group, right? Yeah.
I had thought maybe you had booked it with the thought that I would be in it and around.
I think we did. We were like, oh, Mike's going to play up there too.
Yeah, so
with the big band. Like, he's
be a
coming
local
home.
connection.
He's coming to Oshkosh.
Yeah, that was a real bummer that I couldn't do that one, or I think I saw it after. Like, oh, well, shoot, should have stuck around for that. But we did play in, my third show on the band was in Fond du Lac.
Okay.
For some community concert series, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Some of my old band teachers came out and different people, but I was still very fresh because I didn't get a rehearsal when I joined.
Oh, you're just like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, I remember the first day I joined them in Chicago and got on the bus. Everyone flew in from their respective, homes.
Yep.
And then we drove up to Michigan for a gig that night, but we were delayed.
Okay.
We got in late. So usually when they start a new tour cycle, if you have 3 or 4 new band members, they'll have a longer sound check. And you're not going to run every song, but you're going to hit some points. And we were so late that we got to run 2 songs, and then I just had to sight read the gig. And I remember right before the gig, the director, who was the singer, who was awesome, he told me, something to the effect this is your band. They're going to go where you go. Yep. You have to lead it. Even though I'm conducting my hands, that's mostly for show to entertain the crowd, but it's on you.
Yeah.
And I'm 23. And it was a intimidating process, but it really helped me grow a lot. And I have a lot of respect for that music now.
Yeah.
I kind of just deep dove into it while I was there. We'd have a lot of downtime. So I would, go on walks around the hotel, or whatever, and just listen to old records that the director would give me. Here's the entire Frank Sinatra catalog of big band stuff. You should listen to all of it.
Yeah.
And he knew a lot about drums, so I always appreciated getting his advice on things. And I mean, a lot of people in that band had played with amazing drummers, so.
Sure. So when you guys go on tour, do you have more than one drummer, or are you it?
Nope, just one.
So if you're down and out, then
you got to play. I remember there was one night where I felt pretty sick, and it was, you have to play. I can only remember one time while I was out where the bari sax player was so sick, puking, food poisoning or something, where he didn't play.
Okay.
And I think he tried to get up and play and had to walk off stage after a couple tunes and leave. Wasn't going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the reality of it, especially with drums. With saxophone, I don't know, there's 5 of them. So we made it work without him.
Yep.
Wasn't ideal, because he has solos or sections where he's featured and other people have to pick up the slack. And same thing with trumpets or, trombones. It could be 4 of each of them. But yeah, when you're a rhythm section player, the dependency on you within a group is pretty crucial.
For sure. Yeah.
And I like that. And then there's times where I don't like it, But yeah, that was a really cool experience. And I remember right when I got off the road, I was a little bummed. It was a good time because I was able to get right back enrolled in school and not miss a year or something, so I could go finish my degree.
Yeah.
And I remember right when I got off the road, someone called me about this touring gig with Ray Brown Jr., who is the son of Ray Brown, who's a legendary bass player, and then Ella Fitzgerald. And he's a jazz singer. And I remember I called my jazz director at the university, and he didn't pick up, and I left a voicemail. Hey, I got this call about doing this touring thing, but I just signed a lease on an apartment and got enrolled back in school. So I was just, if you had any thoughts or advice.
Yeah.
And I remember he didn't call me back, and I talked to my dad. He's like, I think you should just finish up school. If you got that call this quickly, it could happen again. And so I turned him down, enrolled in school, and then my jazz director called me back like, you didn't take it? No, you definitely should have taken it. I was like, well, it's too late.
Yeah.
But then actually in April, right before I graduated in May, they called me again.
Oh.
And then after doing that gig, I learned it was no surprise because he goes through drummers every couple months.
Sure.
He's a very tough band leader.
Yeah.
But so I got to do that.
Probably still a good learning experience for you to be a part of.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
He also had a deep love for R&B music.
Oh, nice.
So we would play some of that too.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, maybe I hadn't explored that as much. So that also was a really awesome opportunity, even beyond just, furthering my jazz craft, but
yeah,
opening me up to some different kinds of music that I also really love. So
nice.
But I think the whole time I did that gig, I kind of knew I was going to move back to this area. So it was always like, yeah, I'll do this, 4-month contract, but I'll be spending that whole period kind of trying to prep and get my ins here and let people know I'm going to be around.
For sure.
To get gigs or find students and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then how much later was it when you started your cruise ship gig then?
That was the cruise ship gig.
Oh,
the contract was on a ship. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which was really cool. I guess he really likes doing those cruise contracts because if you're in a specialty group, you're not just playing with guest entertainers in a theater. I only played with him. Okay. And our quartet only played with our quartet. Once in a while, they'd have us play a song on a theater show, especially the first night of a cruise. Here's some of the different entertainment we have available.
What cruise line was it?
Celebrity Cruises.
Celebrity, okay.
Yeah, which is I think a little higher end. I think it's the same company as Carnival or something, Royal Caribbean or something, but it's a classier version. Yeah. So it was all in Europe, in the Mediterranean.
Nice. So you did that for how long was the contract? That was for
4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
So they must have stopped at a whole bunch of cool places for you to
every couple days. They were usually 2-week cruises.
Yeah.
Our main port was either Civitavecchia, which is Italy, Rome. Yeah. The port nearest, or Barcelona.
Okay.
Was the one we would do a lot of unloading or reloading.
Yep.
But then we would go, all sorts of places. Croatia. I remember.
That's the one place I haven't gone to that I want to go to.
I think that's where they shot Game of Thrones.
Croatia? I think they did some of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's really small.
Yep.
Greece, Venice, all sorts of different ports. And then the one that was really cool for me was we went to Turkey occasionally.
Istanbul?
Yeah, we did an overnight there too, which meant, we were just in port for 2 days so people could really explore.
Yeah.
But I was using this brand of cymbals at the time that was based out of there. I'm still using their cymbals, actually. Yeah. And I was an artist for them from doing the Glenn Miller thing. Uh-huh. And so they picked me up and brought me out for a factory tour, and it's awesome, the old style of dirt floors.
What is it? What was the brand again?
Bosphorus.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
But Turkey is probably I tell everyone that's the coolest place I've ever been, Istanbul, and I would go back there in a second on a vacation.
Yeah, it's literally Asia on one side, Europe on the other. Right?
Yeah, and like the bazaar, the kind of market thing, and again, everyone over there super polite. Oh, can I get you some apple tea? And really nice people. And I remember there's like a whole street that's all music stores. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, this is just the cymbal store, and then you have to go to the drum store or the saxophone store or the guitar store.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's these like 3 or 4 record stores. This one only sells records of old jazz.
Yeah.
It was like hard to believe.
Yeah.
I was so overwhelmed being there. I wish I could have spent more time.
And they had a lot of rugs.
Yeah.
I think my parents bought one while they were there. Like, yeah, we'll ship it back to you.
I was at Home Goods yesterday, and all their rugs say "Made in Turkey."
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe.
Maybe. That'd be, yeah. It'd be fun to be able to trace that back. But
I remember there was a guy who a lot of people on the ship knew him. He was a tailor, and he could make you a suit in a day.
A day?
So if you went in the morning before and if you got into him before 10 a.m., he would do all your measurements. And this is like for $200 or $300.
Wow.
He could have you he could make you a suit that would be ready before your ship would leave.
Wow.
And he'd like deliver it to the ship.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
I remember our band leader got like a red velvet suit or something that time, but he's like, every time we port in
get a new one.
Istanbul, or maybe that was Kuşadası, another Turkish city. But yeah, it's like, you got to go to the suit maker.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Yeah. So how was it living on a cruise ship for 4 months?
The first month was really cool. And then the rest of it was a grind.
You're like, okay, how many more months or?
Yeah, I always tell people the funniest thing I did was like the last month. I had a calendar on my wall where I would, cross off the days as they'd pass.
Yeah.
And I was so desperate to get off that the last month I would like put 1 slash through a date at lunchtime. And then before I went to bed, I would put the other slash through so I could even count like the half days I had left.
Yeah.
It was exhausting.
No, it's a grind, man. Like, if you think of all the other people that are working on the ship too,
Yeah, and all the gimmick of it that was really cool at first wears off. Once you've been to Barcelona like 10 times, you're not really going to go on like an excursion or tour and see, this old building or something.
Yeah.
You're just going to go onto land and try to find a place with some Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That you can like check in with your people and download some YouTube videos so you had something to watch later.
Yeah.
When you were on the boat.
So how did that work for crew? Like, did you guys have access to Wi-Fi?
You could buy a package, and I did.
Okay.
It was expensive, and it wasn't fast. For me, it was valuable because I knew I was going to take that time to try and email different venues to try and book my group, or talk to musicians and let them know when I'd be back so that they could keep me in mind.
Yep.
For work and stuff like that, or
try
to get a lead with Hyde Music or different teaching things. So
yeah,
I probably wasted more money than I needed to on it. But one thing that's nice is it's hard to spend money. Well, it's easy to spend money, but it's easy to save it.
Sure.
Because so much of it is free. You can eat for free all you want. You don't have to leave the ship and spend money in town. They even have like a crew bar, which is crew only in the living quarter areas, and like a beer could be like 75 cents, or mixed drinks are like $1 or something.
I've snuck into those crew parties.
Yeah,
because I could pass as a crew member.
Yeah. Well, we were talking before. There's a large segment of the crew is Filipino, and then Jamaican or different things. Honestly, that was the first time I was ever a minority, as like in American entertainment is probably dominated by Americans, but most of the other service industries on the ship and even entertainment heavily international. Yeah. So that was a cool experience for me to meet people from other parts of the world, and the party band on the ship was all from the Philippines. Yeah. Hard workers, had to work way harder than us for less money. Super nice people, polite, would do anything for you, Made me feel guilty sometimes. Like, oh, you're going out of your way to like, when we're on land, you want to buy me a coffee? I should buy you a coffee.
Right. Yeah. It's their hospitality, right?
Yeah. Well, and the drummer on that ship I was friends with, and he was just sending everything home back to his family. He had like
Yeah.
3 or 4 kids, and he was gone. He was on an 8-month contract.
Yeah.
And then I remember they said, "Oh, we got extended, so now it's going to be 10 months. We have to stay." Like
Yeah.
almost wasn't their choice.
Yeah.
The way they kind of leveraged, like, well, then we're not going to pay for your flights home if you don't want to take this extension.
Yeah. That's all the stuff we don't see. Right?
Yeah, it made me feel really bad. And they use agencies to hire people. We're not employees for the ship or the company.
Yeah.
That way they can treat people unfairly on like, oh, well, everyone from this country gets paid way less because it's worth more where they're from, or they will do it, even though we're doing the same job.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the big sacrifices that, OFW, overseas Filipino workers, do for their families and everything, I mean, the number one export in the Philippines is manpower. And, in order for people to enjoy like these different types of things, we need people like that to be willing, people that are willing to be a part of that,
Yeah, yeah.
And all the money that they make, it goes a long way, and providing for the family. And I just can't even imagine, just missing out on your kids, special moments and everything like that. But I mean, yes, we have FaceTime and all that kind of stuff, but it's not the same. But
yeah, it's tough work, and
yeah,
it gave me a lot of respect for all those people.
Yeah,
I know, like the lead singer and guitar player of that band, they were husband and wife, so it's perfect for them. They don't have kids; they're just with each other, traveling the world. It's kind of like a dream scenario. Yeah, but for like the drummer, for a lot of the other people, it's like, I'm just doing this so I can provide for my family.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it's easier than finding a job in the Philippines that pays that much. The easiest thing to do is go travel and be away or work at a resort somewhere or on a cruise ship. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I remember those are the kind of people who would do extra work. Like you could sign up to do these kind of one-off gigs, like, hanging art in the art gallery, moving everything around. Mm-hmm. Always signing up for that stuff.
Yeah.
Not me. Mm-hmm. I didn't need to do that.
Yeah, man. So was that the last, like, traveling gig that you did, before kind of settling down here?
Yeah.
What year was that? That was
2014.
Okay.
So that was right when I came back.
Yeah. And
then when I came back, I started traveling with this group called 5 by Design, and they're a vocal jazz group, like 5 singers.
Yeah.
They have a backup band. So I was playing with them a bit before I did the cruise ship. And then after I came back, I kind of became their drummer. Mm-hmm. But they weren't traveling as much. And they had shifted from playing like theater shows to playing strictly with like symphonies on Pops concerts.
Okay.
So they would travel with a drummer, sometimes a piano player, and then the 5 singers. And they would do these shows with symphony orchestras. So that was really cool because that was like fly out and be somewhere for 5 days and then fly home. You get your own hotel room. You're not traveling in a van because it's all paid for by, symphony budgets, which are a lot bigger. And they have protocols for like, we work with this hotel, and this and that. So that was really cool. And playing with like, major symphony orchestras that, are all professional.
Yeah.
Was really cool. And, driving a big band is really cool as a drummer, like playing with a big group and kind of helping lead the way for 16 people. But this was like that for like 60 people.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So that was a really cool experience. And that's where I went to Winnipeg. We played with the Cape Cod Symphony. Mm-hmm. And that was a lot of great players from like Boston, which is a really rich musical area. One in Colorado. Did one in Milwaukee. Not with the Milwaukee Symphony, though, with a different symphony. And a few different other ones, but those were really cool, and that could be just once or twice a year,
Yeah.
And allowed me to keep everything here going on, not like drop what you're doing and go travel for months on end.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of different things going on for you. You got a lot of cool groups and stuff that you've started, you've headed. Mm-hmm. You and Kurt, right? And was it you and Kurt that started Water City Jazz Orchestra?
Yep. Yeah. Well, and you. Kind of a founder, because I remember when we got back and we wanted to start that, we went and met with all these venues around town. Yeah. And none of them wanted to have us. Yeah. Because they were like, that's too loud. That's too many people. A Monday night? No. Once a month? No. And you were just like, yeah, let's do it.
Let's go.
Whenever you want to start.
Yeah.
you know, and
that was such a cool thing. I mean, I just love this space too, just for live music in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I miss playing here. And I was at New Moon before I came here, and I was talking to Aaron. It's like, I miss playing here. This was such a great place for me to kind of grind my teeth.
Yeah. You can always do a pop-up show or something, right?
Yeah, I'd love to. You know, and we still, you know, can do the Bootleggers Ball once in a while.
Yeah.
And other things, but.
Oh, speaking of, we can talk about it now, I guess.
Yeah.
Did we finish? Did we come up with a date, or did that not work out for?
As I was talking to Kurt and stuff for trying to do it in the spring, I think it was like, well, we're getting closer every day. We owe it to the people in the band to have it figured out sooner or later. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll look at the fall.
Okay.
The one thing that was nice about the pandemic was it was this hard stop where everything kind of had to be on pause.
Yeah.
But as things have gotten better and we can have events and stuff like that, I think it's allowed a lot of people to reassess, like, maybe this wasn't the best time to do this. Maybe we should, you know, reinvent it a little bit.
Sure.
Or do it like this, you know? So
Yeah.
maybe we'll do it in the fall.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll get that Joker Shipe on board too and figure something out.
Yeah.
So yeah, Water City Jazz Orchestra, Pocket Kings. That's your thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yeah, that is probably, if I had to tell people, and what bands are you in? I would probably say Pocket Kings, Water City Jazz Orchestra, and then Stuck on Blue, which is a trio I do with Jake Crow on bass and Calvin Casper on guitar.
Yeah.
And that's kind of original music that we all write.
Yeah.
So that's a cool, you know, group to be able to write music for. I don't write music for the big band.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
if I wrote the songs for Pocket Kings, I probably wouldn't have to work ever again. Those are all hits.
Right.
But yeah, that's more wedding band, R&B, funk.
Yeah, you played a surprise birthday party upstairs.
Yep.
Was that last year?
Yes,
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
it was.
Yeah.
Except the elevator was up, so
Yeah.
I was running sound and lights, so that was a workout.
Yeah. All those things. But you're also teaching, right?
Yep, yeah, I teach anywhere between 25 to 30 students a week.
Okay.
So that's a pretty hefty load.
In person, virtual?
Mostly in person.
Okay.
You know, when the COVID stuff came up too, I had to switch to virtual.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And one thing that was nice about that is I think it got a lot of people okay with the idea of doing things that way. So it's nice now because if there's a snow day, instead of like, can we reschedule? Can we do it on FaceTime today?
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
30 degrees outside. I don't want to leave my house.
Yeah, and I know now people are abusing it a little bit. Like, oh, I don't want to drive my kid across town, so can we just do it on FaceTime?
Yeah.
But it's also nice. I have some families that are in Neenah or Appleton. And so it's like maybe we'll do in person one week and the next week virtual.
Sure.
To cut down on the commute.
Travel. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the summer that's a lot easier for a lot of those families. But especially like right now, spring sports, you know, every kid's in baseball now.
Yeah.
Or soccer or tennis. And so it's like, where can we kind of squeeze it in? Well, now we have this whole other option of like, maybe the next month we'll just do it virtual.
Yeah.
And then we'll get back to in person in the summer or something. So
That's cool, man.
yeah, that's actually really helped my business, I think.
Yeah.
Teaching, making it more realistic for more people or more flexibility with scheduling.
So when you are thinking about your student load, are you like capping it at like a certain number, or are you kind of like?
It's tough because, you know, I have some seniors who I've had for a long time that'll be graduating. I think it would be hard to do more than 30. I teach pretty much Monday through Thursday, but, you know, again, I can't really start until like 3:30 or 4 with the school day.
Yeah.
I've had some homeschool kids or whatever, and they can start earlier. Some adults, you know, retired who can do stuff during the day. But yeah, I pretty much have to do it Monday through Thursday, and that might be 4 o'clock. And if I go till 7, I try to cut it off about then. Sometimes I'll go a little later. That might be eating dinner at like 8 or,
Yeah.
you know, 8:30 if I'm cooking or something.
Yep.
So that's about as much as I could do, but it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
I have
for
3
sure.
new students starting this week, so
Oh, nice.
it's weird. I haven't had a new student start in a while,
Uh-huh.
and then all at once.
So you have your studio now at home, right?
Yep.
How long? You've been in that house for 3 years now?
No, way longer.
Longer than that?
Like 6 or 7.
Oh, geez. Wow.
And I've probably had that studio. It's always a work in progress, but I've had it kind of usable for probably 5 years.
Okay.
I think maybe the first year I had the house, I thought I was going to get to it right away, finishing off the basement. And I think it took me a year and a half or something.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years. But before that, I was up at New Moon. I had a space upstairs there for a long time, which was a killer deal, an awesome space. Mm-hmm. And then when Kurt Stein got the music school started in Neenah, I left to go do it there. But I had always planned to move to my home studio, and so I was always kind of desperate to get back to that.
Yeah.
And that's a lot easier, too, because, you know, if a student doesn't show up and they want to come a different day, I'm not stuck at some office, you know, twiddling my thumbs.
Yep.
I can do a load of laundry or start prepping food or whatever that I'm going to cook.
Make a YouTube video.
I can do that, yeah. So it's very convenient.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen your studio in person yet, but I've seen the videos and stuff that you posted. They're cool, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's been a super awesome, you know, that's a new hobby for me in the last couple of years that I absolutely love doing.
Yeah. And I think you've been really starting to get everything dialed in, you know, video and audio. Like, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen, like, the videos where you're kind of doing it without effects and then throwing the effects on, like, mixed and everything.
Yeah. And I'm always kind of learning. And now, you know, probably the same for you when you watch other people's videos, that gives you can understand the workflow or how they did it. Like, oh, I wouldn't think to do something that way.
Or even when you watch your own stuff, you're like, why didn't I do this? Or why didn't I do that?
Yeah, I like to go back and look at some of the earlier ones I did and be like, wow, I really knew nothing.
Yeah. To myself, not to you.
No, same.
But dude, like, if I look back at some of like the earlier on videos that I tried to do for Manila to like what we're doing now, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Well, and I've always been amazed. You guys have been so good at that. How many, you know, restaurants have that great content, you know, every month with all the specials and kind of showing it being made. I'm sure that goes a long way for you guys. Or I remember when the pandemic started, you did a lot of that stuff to kind of, this is what a to-go process looks like, or a take-home sushi kit.
Yeah.
Or different things.
Well, that's the thing, you know, with having our type of, you know, restaurant here in this market. Like, a lot of people don't know what Filipino cuisine is, or, you know, aren't familiar with it. So we just have to have that continuous, you know, information going towards them, and educating people about, you know, who we are, what we are, and what we are able to offer, you know, so.
Yeah.
But it's also fun because it gives us an opportunity to share, you know, the culture, heritage, and, you know, through food and hospitality and stuff. So, it's fun.
Yeah, I think I've always felt like musicians and restaurateurs have a very similar. You gotta love what you do. The hours are exhausting. You can't always go to your friend's wedding because Saturday night we have a prime catering gig or something. Yeah, I gotta be there. You know.
Yeah.
A lot of nights and weekends. Yeah, and just a lot of hustle.
For sure.
And then it's like doing everything yourself, you know, because you could hire a firm to come do video or promotions or run your social media, but you really just need to learn how to do everything.
Yeah.
So you can do it.
Yep. Definitely. So I always ask this to all of our guests, and you know that because you're one of our listeners, watchers. Thank you.
I am, yeah.
What are your go-tos here at Manila?
I really like the kind of fusion dishes you've done. Like, I love the katsu chicken, but I love the sliders.
Yeah.
The other one, the adobo sliders.
Uh-huh.
And then my favorite thing to get every time, but I don't think it's on the menu anymore, is the sisig fries.
Yeah. It's not on the
but
menu.
It's like secret menu.
But yeah, it's like you go to In-N-Out, you want it animal style, right? You just tell your server, bartender, hey, can I get the sisig fries? I'm like, yeah. You know, well, they should be saying, yeah.
Yeah, my favorite thing to do is, like, if me and my girlfriend would come here, or me and a friend, I would rather just get a bunch of apps and split them. Like, oh, let's get a few crab rangoon, a few of this, a few skewers.
Yeah.
I've never been a huge sushi eater.
Uh-huh.
So I don't venture into that world as much. But pretty much everything else, it's like, oh, I'd love to try a little of this, little of this. And that's kind of how it's set up. You know, you can order just one or two of things.
Yeah. No, that's the very reason why we set up the appetizer menu like that, you know. So you might not be looking for 8 crab rangoon like per order or whatever it is, you know. And you want a taste of this, taste of that. So, yeah, I'm glad that you like that. So
what I've never done, and every time I see it, I get more and more interested to try it, is the bodle?
Boodle fight.
Boodle fight. Yeah. That just looks really cool. But obviously that's not like I'll just come with like a buddy and we'll split it.
Oh, bring
It's
two
huge,
more
right?
people. Like if our minimum is 4 people. So
is it scaled based on how many people you have?
yeah,
And then what is it, like a per person?
per person charge. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't have to be. I think Kurt Scheib had his birthday party here a long time ago.
Oh, you threw it.
He did it.
Birthday party for Lisa, right?
I think this is. Oh, maybe it was then.
Yeah.
This was years ago.
Yeah.
But I remember he got it, and I was very like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah. No, that was a lot of fun.
When I think I thought it, you had something on the menu that was like, I thought was a joke for a long time, where it was like this huge thing. It's like, oh, it's $175 or something.
Oh,
Maybe it's way more.
maybe it was way more. Was it the like sushi thing? Like sushi platter, boat, some.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was always like, oh, that must just be a joke. And then I realized, oh, well, if you were going to have like 12 people here,
Yeah.
it's like just a catering at a table.
Sure. Well, you'll have to think about that, and then when we get you back on, we can talk about it.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Yeah, I'll put a group together.
Yeah. So, what are your goals, man? Like, for your playing career, teaching career. Like,
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself going?
Well, I'm really happy with everything I do now, and that it's sustainable, and I own a house, and get by comfortably. I think the goal for a lot of entrepreneurs or people in my situation is to be able to kind of do everything they want and not have to worry about the money, but the money takes care of itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where I've gotten the last few years is like, one is always trying to figure out how can I not work less, but make my time more valuable, or maybe, make money while I sleep. But then too, it's like, oh, I can take gigs I want just because I want to play there. If I was going to play at New Moon Cafe, they can't afford to, they don't make enough margin on selling coffees to pay me hundreds of dollars or my group or something. But, if I want to play there, I can, because I have enough comfort with how I am financially that I do things just because I like them.
Yeah, for sure.
So that would be really great. For me personally, I would love to grow. I've been doing the YouTube thing since the beginning of the pandemic every week. And I would love to be able for that to grow, that it's a more sizable part of my income.
Sure.
That I could devote more time to it as kind of part of my job.
Yeah.
It does make me a bit of money now. And it's up and down and such, but not enough to live off.
Sure. Could you, like, I would think that one of your goals could be getting like a sponsorship, right?
Yeah, I think so. I would love to get to the point. I've had a sponsorship with a cymbal company for a long time, and they're a much smaller company, but they were the one that I loved since high school, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
It would be cool to get to a point in my career where I could, companies approach me wanting to demo products or things like that, or just test things out and give my feedback, And what's cool about the day and age we live in is, like, you can be successful or be a major player and be in Oshkosh,
Yeah.
if your, online presence is big enough.
For sure.
The other thing for me with that, what's been really fulfilling is it can be tough to be a drummer sometimes. There's been times where you've asked me to put a band together for something here, and it's like, I can't find a piano player. I guess I'm not doing it. If you're a piano player, well, I'll go play solo. I'll just play by myself. I'll probably make more money. Not so bad, right? But drums, it's like you're at the mercy of everyone else's availability. For a group like Pocket Kings, where everyone's involved in other projects, can be hard for us to find dates that work, and that can be a bummer. What's nice with the YouTube thing is, like, that's just when I want to work and how hard I want to work, and I'm not beholden to anybody else's availability to make it happen.
Yeah. No, you do a lot of cool things, man. Because I saw you did Silk Sonic. Transcribing that. Are you almost done with that?
Yeah, I have been done with it for a couple weeks now.
Okay.
And I think I released one yesterday, and then the last one will release in May.
Okay.
And then I will kind of transcribe that whole album, all the drum parts.
Nice. Very cool.
Which I never really intended to be a thing, and then
You just started and just...
I did the first one the day the song came out.
Okay.
And I was planning to do a different song, but the night before I saw Bruno Mars kind of, we're dropping the single tomorrow. I was like, I'm going to wake up and listen to it.
Yeah.
And I was planning to record like a drum cover of a different song. And I was like, you know what? This drumming on this new Bruno song is like really good.
Yeah.
And Anderson .Paak, of course. So
Yep.
maybe I'll play a cover of this. Because if, in the day of the internet, it's like if you can be first to something,
Yeah.
that can really go a long way. So I kind of wrote out all the sheet music and recorded it that day and edited it and got it released.
Uh-huh.
And, it was kind of amazing. That's the most insane success with a video I've ever had. By the next day, it's like, it has 1,000 views. Wow, that's crazy.
That's cool, yeah.
And then, by Sunday or Monday, it's like, wow, I have 10,000 views. I've never had that before. And then by like Wednesday or Thursday, it's like, oh my God, I hit 100,000 views.
Really? One of your videos did?
That one, I think, has like almost 500,000 views.
Dude, nice.
And that's what instantly took me from like, you have 600 subscribers to like, you have 2,000 subscribers. Congratulations, you've passed the thresholds to make money on YouTube.
Hey, there you go.
You can't make money on that video because you don't own that song.
Yeah.
But
anything else you do?
Yeah, so that got me a big audience. And you know what? It's sometimes people on the internet can be pretty brutal.
Sure.
Like I'll put up a video of something I'm really passionate about, like, I fixed up this drum and look at all this and kind of showing you, and here's before and after, and someone will comment, more Silk Sonic songs. And I'll just write back, yeah, thanks for checking out my video. Hope you liked it. Thanks for suggesting other videos I could do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I love doing it. And I don't know when you got into video, but for me, it's like it was a necessity,
Yeah.
I would record myself at gigs and post a clip so that I could send it to someone like you, like, you should book us. Here's what we kind of sound and look like. Mm-hmm. And now I really love the editing and all that part of it, and shooting it and trying to do some interesting things with video. Yeah.
No, it's a fun world. That's for sure. It's a whole different animal in itself, but
yeah.
No, your stuff is looking good, man.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel pretty good about it. I don't feel to the point where if someone hired me to do video for them, I would have a bit of imposter syndrome. Like, I don't really know color correction to a way that I'd want to take your money for it. But,
yeah,
I'm learning, kind of learn as I need.
For sure.
Yeah.
You've won some like local awards and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Was it Whammies?
The Whammies.
Yeah.
Last year I got the Drummer of the Year award.
Nice.
Which was cool because I think I was nominated in 2020, and then they canceled the award show. Kept getting postponed.
Yeah.
And then when it finally happened, I think just last fall, I got it. So that one almost encompasses 2 years.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Nice, man. Have any of the groups been nominated for anything or won anything?
Yeah, Pocket Kings have been nominated for, Funk Band or Horn Band of the Year. Salsa Manzana that I play with has been nominated.
Sure. Yeah, played here a few times.
I don't think Water City Jazz Orchestra has. Yeah, I would love to see. It'd be cool. It was really cool to get a personal recognition like that, but I would love to see a group that I play in get some accolades like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Let's make that a goal, huh?
Yeah. There's a goal.
The Grammys were on this last weekend. I didn't watch it, but when I was scrolling through the gram, I follow Asian Hustle Network. Shout out to them. They posted a cool thing about how there's a whole bunch of different like Filipino American artists that are making some noise, from Olivia to Bruno to I don't know how. Is it her? The artist her?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Filipino American artists enjoy a breakout year at Grammys.
That's cool. I knew Bruno was Filipino or had family that was. I did not know Olivia Rodrigo was.
He's half. I think it goes in this article here. Growing up as a biracial Black and Filipino musician, singer-songwriter, her could count on a few things her two cultures shared. Filipino Americans love R&B, like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston. We love hip-hop, and we love a really powerful ballad. There is always music happening, the 24-year-old born Gabriella Wilson said, so that's her real name. 2 days before presenting at the Academy Awards and a week before she's up for an Album of the Year at the 64th Grammys. I should be careful here, but Filipinos are kind of like the black people of Asia. I love all of our commonalities. When my mom married a black man, our cultures meshed. Amid the pressure on the Grammys to better represent the diversity of who makes and listens to pop music today, this year's nomination showed one notable flowering of that work. It's the best year for Filipino Americans in Grammy history. Across top categories, acts with Filipino heritage including Olivia Rodrigo, Saweetie, and Her are up for Best New Artist and Album. Song and Record of the Year prizes, longtime Grammy favorite Bruno Mars, a multiracial Filipino-American Hawaii native, is in contention for 4 awards with his funk and soul band, Silk Sonic. What up? Including Song and Record for Leave the Door Open. The American singer Elle King, daughter of biracial Filipino-American comedian Rob Schneider. Did you know that?
No.
Is up for country group duo performance for her duet with Miranda Lambert, Drunk and I Don't Want to Go Home. Between them, they have 22 Grammy nominations this year. All the above acts have multi-faced ethnic backgrounds and arrived at their success through very different genres. Beyond this year's Grammys, the black and Filipino-American singer and Euphoria star Dominic Fike, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, also enjoyed breakthrough year for more than 4 million Americans and Filipino Americans in the U.S., and especially the 1.6 million in California. Well, I didn't know that. 1.6 million Filipinos in California.
Wow.
Where Rodrigo, Her, and Saweetie are from. It's a moment in the limelight for a tradition of Asian American music culture that's often blended into other sounds here. Yeah, Enrique Iglesias is also half Filipino. I can't remember if I think his mom was.
Wow, it seems like maybe people just don't know how rich and wide the Filipino culture spreads.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, the number one exporter of the Philippines are manpower,
Yeah.
Like we're everywhere.
Yeah.
And I used to be surprised when I, would go on vacations and kind of go exploring and like, there's a Filipino, what are they doing here?
I think it's really cool. And I didn't watch the Grammys either, but I kind of, see highlights of people who won. And it's really cool how in today's world where if you have a great product, the barrier to entry is nothing because everyone has access to the internet.
Yeah.
So if you can't get a record deal, it's going to be a lot harder to get your music heard, but you can put it out there for little to no money. And if you have a great song or great product or album, eventually people will find it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think maybe Olivia Rodrigo, I think she was like a Disney star before she did her music career. And I don't know exactly how she transitioned into music, if she had a bunch of radio label support or if she just grinded and leveraged her success from that to help her get her started. But, like Billie Eilish recorded her songs in her bedroom by herself and then wins Grammys. And there's some other people I've seen, like a composer that I follow out of New York who's not really famous or anything, just a jazz big band writer. Mm-hmm. He writes like video game music into jazz big band style. And he won a Grammy, and it's like, wow, that's just a guy who leveraged Instagram and the video game community, got behind his stuff and loved it, and found his niche, and now he's getting recognized for it,
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that, and I think, I feel like there's a lot more international presence in music now.
Yeah.
Like when I was growing up, is like you had your American pop thing almost like designed by labels like NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys.
Yep.
But you didn't hear about these great international groups, but there's like that Korean group.
Yeah.
BTS, is that it?
Let's say yeah.
And yeah. And they're famous everywhere, not just in their little
Oh, they have their own
their Korean pop
K-pop, right?
circle. Yeah. It's like I never heard pop music from other countries before, but now with the internet, it's like easier to come across that stuff or find it. You don't have to go into a Sam Goody and find a CD.
Yep.
So it's really encouraging and motivating. You know, like if I really wrote this amazing song, I could get it out there by myself. I wouldn't need to find someone to sign me and promote it in order to get it heard.
Yeah. Well, things have definitely changed over the last decade.
Yeah.
And how, you know, musicians market themselves and the companies and stuff that would, you know, the hands on deck that needed to get something out there, right? So all you need is that one video to go viral.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah. No, it's, I enjoy it.
Yeah. Cool. So what's up for the next, you have any big plans for the summer with your groups?
I'll be playing at the Oshkosh Jazz Fest this year.
Yeah. Second year.
Yeah. Last year I had to miss it because with all the COVID reschedulings from 2020, Pocket Kings had a wedding for someone who we know that was that day. And so I had to miss it.
Okay.
Which was a real bummer. I didn't think I was going to miss it as much. And then I was here downtown in the morning and I was like, man, I really wish I was there.
It was a cool setup, man. And I hope that's going to be something similar like that next year.
Yeah, and I think they've got a cool, unique approach. You know, they booked Scary Pockets, which is kind of like a viral video band.
Yep.
And, you know, some people would consider that a stretch from the jazz genre, but I think it's pretty jazz adjacent.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will appreciate what they do.
For sure. Yeah.
And I'll be playing with Water City Jazz Orchestra and Salsa Manzana. You know, but I'll be around. I'll be busy.
Yeah. Let's look at the dates. I think is it August 27th?
Yeah, 27th or 28th. The last Saturday in August.
Yeah, August 27th. So put it in your calendars now. A lot of cool things happening.
Yeah, I know Pocket Kings are holding out for a Waterfest date that is yet to be announced.
Okay.
But once it is, I'll be freaking out.
Nice.
It could not be a better fit for us, so hopefully that works out, you know.
Can you share a little exclusive news here?
Nope.
No?
I haven't even been able to tell the horns.
Oh, man.
I told the rest of the band because they're like
the
core guys. I haven't told the horns because
you know
they're a bonus.
Who you'd be opening up for?
Yeah, but they the offer's out, but it hasn't been accepted because you know how those tours work out with routing and making sure everything works out.
Yeah.
Well, we got to have 3 dates on this run to make that price cost effective. So I'm sure there's a lot of moving parts, but I check in every week with the Waterfest crew. Like, any update on that?
Yeah.
But you should have him on once he gets more of that firmed out.
Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I know a bit about how he started, and I grew up in the area pretty much. So I remember when Waterfest was on just like a dumpy lot in a trailer.
Sure, right? Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember when they built the Leech.
Yep.
You know, and then, God, the way it's taken off since then, and the caliber of artists they get. Like they had Toto and they had Michael McDonald a few years ago. Mm-hmm. That was one of the ones that I was freaking out about.
Yeah.
When they got him. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's really cool to see some of those different things grow in the area. That's what I like about being back in Oshkosh. I have a lot of connection to it. And, you know, I remember when when the mine shaft was an old Walmart. Like, yeah, and all sorts of things that have changed over time.
Yeah. Well, change is always constant. We got a lot of cool things happening here in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Right on, man. Well, thanks for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We'll have to do it again, and maybe we can do another one once you find out what's going on with the show.
Yeah, we'll see. But I'll be around.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good, man.
All right.
Well, thanks for tuning in, watching on whatever platform you find. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Barkada Podcast. Later.
Smash that like button.
Had to do that.
That's what people say.